Hey everybody, welcome to the Chason Laing podcast. Amazing guests, interesting conversations. Don't really know where we're going to go, but we're going to have an awesome time getting there. And today, before we get started, you know the whole please subscribe thing, tell all your friends, share the videos, all that kind of great stuff. Please do that. And today I have an awesome guest. This one hits close to, a little special spot in my heart for this dude. He is a filmmaker. He's a musician. He's been a bartender. He's just been everywhere. But most importantly, he's an actor friend of mine. Jesse ANHOLT, how are you, man?
Hey, how's it going? Good. Glad to talk to you. It's been a while.
It has been a while. So just so the audience knows, a long time ago, ancient years ago, I decided to do my first feature film, my no budget feature film. And I decided to make my life easy to film it in the freezing cold of Minneapolis, Minnesota, in the snow. And fortunately, in the winter. Yeah, I know. What could go wrong, right? But one of the great things was I got to work with some great people who've gone on to do some great acting things. And you were one of them, and you killed it in my show. It was The Wait. That was the name of the film.
I appreciate it.
And you did a great job, especially for indie. Like, I still go back sometimes and I'll check those scenes out, and you did a great job back then. And so it's great to have you and connect with you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been too long.
Yeah, so let's just kind of pick up there. Like, so when I came, I don't know exactly what year it was, but it's been a minute.
2009
was it?
It was
2008, 2009, something like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, 2008, 2009, in that area.
Yeah, so it's been a little bit. So when I met you, I didn't know you before this, but you did an audition, you did a great job, and then you acted, you did a great job in the show, and I enjoyed it. How did you end up doing that? Like, when did acting become a thing with you?
Well, and so that it's kind of funny because, I've been acting my whole life, basically, on stage and, just in social interactions as well. But I went to college, I moved down to Texas around 2001, and I was living outside the Houston area, and I was acting through high school and college. And then for some reason, I got the idea that I wanted to move to Minneapolis because, of course, that is like a hub for acting. and so anyway, I decided that I wanted to move to Minneapolis, and one of my Texas friends decided to move with me for an even lesser known reason. But anyway, yeah, and so I was going to go to the University of Minnesota there and all that. But in the meantime, I just decided that I'd check Craigslist and see if anything was going on in terms of, films. And sure enough, I came across The Wait, and there was a casting notice. And, I was like, absolutely. Do I want to be in a feature film? Hell yeah, that sounds great. And so, submitted an audition, and the rest is history, man. It was a lot of fun. I still have tons of pictures. I'll send them to you if you want.
No, I have some of the. No, it is a bit fun for me because I'm a huge believer in school is great. School teaches you stuff, but there's no experience like just getting out there and doing it and figuring out what you did right and what you did wrong. And there's a lot of things that I did wrong, but a few things I did right is my casting was on point, and the guys that I casted all did a great job, and you had a great role, and it was a lot of fun. And considering there was no money, I'm still, it will always hold a very special place in my heart, and all the people involved, because, I look back on it and I'm like, you guys, signed up. I don't even know what you were thinking, but it turned out great. It was so much fun to do. And so, so after that, I know for a fact that you went to study musical theater at, what is it? Kingswood College.
Kingwood College. And that's back, just outside of Houston. So, I was doing musical theater there, and, and then once I got my degree from there, I considered, going on to, continue in my musical theater degree and all that. But then eventually it was just one of those, I just got to get out there and do it. Yeah. And as you said, there's a certain amount, any college degree, there's certain degrees that you absolutely need. Like, if you're going to become a doctor, I want you to have a degree.
Right.
That's important. But there's certain things where, experience is the best teacher. And I really felt like, it was time for me to just get out and have a try at it. And so that's when I decided it was 2012. I decided to move to New York, And I've been here ever since. So coming up in August, it'll be 10 years that I've been in New York. So
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, were you intimidated when you just showed up and there, New York, big city in the world, and here you are? Or how did it feel?
Oh God, yeah. I was terrified, of course. Like, I mean, I moved here with like $2,000 in my pocket. I had, some friends of
That was
friends
like a week salary or a week rental there.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I had some like friends of the family who were like, yeah, you could stay with us for a week. I'm like, okay. And so, yeah, I moved here and within a week found a job, found an apartment in the South Bronx, which is fun. um, and yeah, so like, but you know what? It's that New York story, you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. So it's now it's going on 10 years. So it's been a wild ride, to say the least.
Yeah. Now, I know you've done some other stuff while you were in New York, but before I go into that, like, did you get to do any more acting things? How did that work out in New York? Were you doing more acting gigs, or did you progress there, or what?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I did some acting stuff. Right when I got here, I hit it hard, but it is a cutthroat industry, and I don't care who you talk to. Like, everyone will tell you, like, acting in New York is no joke. I mean, you're grinding every day. And even the people I know who act for a profession, who are still doing the thing, it's a grind.
Yeah.
And, so I kind of was a little disenchanted at a certain point because, I came from, coming from, Texas, like theater in Texas, I kind of had that like big fish, small pond,
Right.
thing going on. So I came to New York. I'm like, oh, I got this. And it's a different animal, as I'm sure, anybody can tell you. But that being said, I kind of took some time off from my acting, but within the past few years, since, like 2016, 2017, in my acting and my music, I've really, like kind of come back to it and come back to my roots. And I'm really excited for everything that I have going on right now. So,
yeah, well, I'm excited to hear about it. So you were there in New York and you're doing this whole thing. At some point you get into bartending. Now, did you have any experience before you got to New York for this, or how did that happen?
yeah. So actually I've been bartending for 15 years now, like longer than I'd like to admit. I was bartending back in Texas. It's essentially the only job I've ever had. So,
Oh, you got to be pretty good at it then.
I mean, I know what I'm doing. Like, I'll make you a solid old fashioned, but and I was actually I was the head instructor at the New York bartending school for a while. I've worked in like Michelin star restaurants. I've done, I've crafted cocktail menus around the city and everything. So yeah, I've done well, and it's paid my rent for a good 10 years now. So I'm never complaining about it, but
well, you are
personable.
Day, so you feel like you'd make a good bartender. You're easy to talk to.
Oh, I mean, like, that's the only way I make tips, because like I can talk to a brick wall, if you couldn't tell.
So as a bartender, do you have like a favorite drink? Is there one that just stuck out to you? Like, this is the one I like to make the most, or is there a unique one? Did you make up your own?
Oh, I've made several like cocktail lists and created throughout the years. But like one thing I always tell people is, like, when it comes to like craft bartending, and I hate the word mixologist, so I won't use it because it's ridiculous and it's stupid. But like when it comes to like craft cocktail bartending and that kind of thing, it's much like being like a Michelin chef, in that it's like you have these amazing chefs. Like when they go home, they're not crafting themselves a beautiful meal before they go to bed. No, they're grabbing McDonald's on the way home.
Right.
Like, which is same with me. Like, it's like, I'll make you a beautiful cocktail, but I'm drinking a whiskey on the rocks, and I don't even care what whiskey it is at this point. Like, just make it brown, put it on ice, and I'm happy. So
that's awesome. Yeah, it's hard to beat just a straight little simple classic thing there. Sometimes you're just too tired to mess with anything else. I definitely don't know how to mix a whole lot of drinks, but even if I did, it's hard to get past just a straight up whiskey on rocks. It's just hard to beat that.
And always a go-to for me.
Yeah, for sure. So now, so there you are. You're doing bartending. You're making your way in New York. You've got some acting things going on, and then at some point also you start. Your music career starts to take off. So when did you get into music to begin with? Because I don't even remember if I knew that about you when I met you.
Well, I don't know if I knew that about myself. When, no, so I've always been musically inclined, let's say. Like, I was in band when I was younger. And as I said, like I did musical theater and things like that, but I never really connected, because I played saxophone in band, which fun, but I never really connected like the music portion with the music that I like to listen to, and I'm a huge, like, I've always loved my hard rock, like Rage Against the Machine, one of my favorite bands of all time. Like, Audio Slave, that era of rock is always something that I've loved. But my music at the time was never, what I was doing in terms of my singing, in terms of, instruments that I played, never really meshed with the music that I loved. And then a few years back, this was probably 2016, something like that. I was at a local bar, and I had just started going there, and I met this bartender, and his name was Thomas. And he and I started talking, and he's tatted up, like full sleeve tattoos, and he was working at this like jazzy little cocktail bar. So I'd go in there, and like they were always playing like smooth jazz, and they had like velvet red, couches and stuff. But it usually cleared out around 11, 12 p.m. And so, we started talking, we were talking about music and the music we love. And he's like a big Metallica guy, like all this. and so basically like at midnight, like, I still don't think the owner ever knew this, but we'd like lock the doors at midnight and just like blare Metallica and drink whiskey in this little jazz cocktail bar. And that was kind of the start. And he is now the bassist for my band.
Oh, nice.
And he and I have been playing music together for ever since. So what, 7 years? I can't do math, but a long time now. Because he was part of a band at the time, and they were looking for a new lead singer. And I was like, I've never been a lead singer of a band, but I'd love to give it a shot. And the rest is kind of history with us. Like, we've been through, he and I have been through like 4 different projects together.
Okay.
But all due respect, which is the kind of resting place that we're at now, is the one that has really stuck and has really taken off. So
yeah, no, that's awesome. Now, do you find as being a lead singer, or I guess I should say lead vocalist here, how did your your college degree, your musical theater stuff, has that played into kind of how you perform now, or what?
Absolutely. In terms of the acting, in terms of all of that, being a front man, if you want to call it that, of a band, like, that's what it is. It's performing. It's, being on stage. It's the whole thing. But instead of, that musical theater, like pretty, vibrato kind of singing, I had to teach myself how to sing like hard rock lyrics, and how to get that grit, and also, took classes on how to scream, which is a whole other animal that people don't understand. Like, when you listen to the hard rock metal music, like, screaming is, you've got to do it a very specific way, or you're going to ruin your vocal cords.
Right.
So so learning that and like taking classes and all of that was super interesting, transitioning from, one set of skills in singing to a completely different set. And it's been a fun ride, trying to figure out how to do that.
Is there any particular, like, before you go and perform anywhere, is there like any special routines that you do to get ready and warm up or anything like that?
In terms of warm up, it's kind of similar to, like what most vocalists do to warm up. But I'm not going to do any of them here because I will sound like a complete idiot.
Yeah.
And even before a show, like, my warm ups usually happen like in a bathroom with a lock on it, so I don't sound like a complete idiot.
I think that's normal, though. I think that's most people. Like when I have to sing or do worship music or anything like that, I'm like in the car, warming up there, like, and you make all these ridiculous sounds.
Of course, in New York, I don't have a car, so I don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
But well, then again, if I do it on the subway, people will just write it off as normal subway stuff. Yeah. So it's fine.
He's probably possessed.
Yeah, just another one of those. It's fine.
Now, as a band, what about so far? So first of all, you've got several CDs out. They're on iTunes. People can check them out and listen to them, which I'm going to encourage to do here, especially as we get to the end of this thing. But go ahead, wait, after we're done with the show, then go check out iTunes. But so you've got some good music already there. As far as like performing and kind of developing the band, has there been like a peak moment for you, one that stuck out, like that was like the ultimate best so far?
Yes. We played this show at this venue in Brooklyn called Knitting Factory. And it's a pretty big, venue in Brooklyn, but, we headlined the show and we were, with a couple other bands that were like good friends of ours, but, cause it took us a while as a band to really coalesce to what we are today, because we had, we went through a series of drummers, and we finally found Nick, who's our drummer now. And then we, just within, a year and a half ago, we found our lead guitarist, Alex, who's incredible. And that was kind of the first big show. And also like COVID played a huge factor because, like we were rehearsing for a year without being able to play any shows, because everything was closed down, especially here in New York. And so everything was closed down. And so we were, so all we were doing was writing music. We were writing music. We were practicing, rehearsing. So by the time our first show came about, we were ready. We were more than ready because we had been itching to do this for so long. Yeah. But that show in Brooklyn, it was with a couple other bands that we're good friends with. And, we packed it out and it was so much fun. And that to me was that moment where it's like, oh, this is actually a thing that I'm doing, it's, because in your mind, it's like we can rehearse all day, every day, but until you actually get on stage and see those people out in front of you, like singing along and having fun, that's that moment that really solidifies you. And it's like, we're a rock band. This is awesome. Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, at the same time, I'm going to ask, so have you had any moments that you were like, oh, wait, this was like ridiculous low, or some ridiculous story that's happened? I feel like you can't perform live and do it in any kind of consistency before something bizarre happens. So I figured I'd ask, has there been any moments that you were like, oh my gosh, this just happened?
Well, in terms of like live performances, we've been pretty good so far. Like in terms of like nothing. All right. Well, so we like one place was, and this was just in January, so not too long ago, but we played, I don't even remember how we found this gig, but we played like this random dive rock bar in Long Island, which in the middle of Long Island in Holbrook. And like, it's this divey little spot, but it was so much fun. But the drum kit, first of all, there's no stage there. It's just like, it turns from carpet into tile and they're like, that's your stage. I'm like, nice. Oh, all right, well, I stand here. Cool. But the drum kit had no like mat or anything under it. And so the kick drum, when he would just like slowly kept sliding out, it's like the whole drum set just continuously moved outwards. And so we were like trying to corral this drum set until we finally got somebody who had like a mat that I think we pulled up we went out front and pulled up the doormat from out front and put it under the drum kit just to have something to hold its place. So, I mean, there'll always be stories like that, but yeah, I mean, we haven't had a catastrophe yet, knock on all the wood. Yes. But, it's going to happen. And then we'll talk again, and I'll tell you all about it. Well,
that's half the fun of it. That's half the fun. I can see you should just be like, it's an interactive show, guys. We're going to end up out in the middle of the room here in just a minute.
slowly venturing into the audience. It's great fun. Yeah.
I played a New Year's concert where I had to sing and play guitar. I kind of stood in for this. I don't even remember what it was, but it was New Year's Eve, and so we were up on the stage in this. I think it was called The Door in downtown Dallas, and so I'm there playing, and right in the middle of the show, all these people start coming in the room, but they're all bringing like little congas and bongos, little djembes, all these, and I'm noticing it, from the stage as they're coming in, and I'm thinking, this is weird. Like, is there somebody after us that I don't know about that's about to play?
Nothing about this can end well.
No, and then like as I'm playing in a song, I notice they keep coming. Next thing you know, they're coming up on stage. So I start looking around like, what is happening right now? And they're not only coming on the stage, they are playing with us. And it's only until after the show later that I found out that the percussionist had invited all of his people, and he just like, we'll turn it into a jam session, it'll be great. And he just didn't tell anybody that it was going to happen. And so we were all just completely stunned until, I kid you not, there was at least 20 different percussionists all banging away at different rhythms and stuff. I could no longer hear anything. The show ended early, and I was like, "This is New Year's. I'm getting out of here." And it was crazy. So yeah, there's inevitably something bizarre always seems to happen, and I think that's half the fun of it.
It's just. Yeah, like nothing beats an impromptu drum line. Yeah. Like, of course.
Yes, especially when everyone's like, "Oh, I got a different beat. I want to try something different. Mine's going to be syncopated differently." Here's like, whatever.
I'll play at different time signatures, and something will happen.
Yeah, somebody playing 7, please. All right, but. So anyway, but before we leave this awesome thing, so your band, All Due Respect, you did a killer cover that I discovered literally yesterday. I hadn't noticed it before, but you did Billie Eilish and you did Bad Guy. And it's actually, for anybody who's listening to this show, you should check it out. It's a really well done. I like it better than the original. Now I'm not a huge Billie Eilish fan, but that song, you did a good job.
Praise, so I'll take it.
So how did you pick that song of all the songs to cover? Where did that one come from?
Well, it was actually, I tell you what, my headphones are
check this out
right now.
Everybody, we're going to pause right here and pause. And we're back. That's the magic of editing. There we go.
Thing.
All right. So now with that out of the way, so where did Bad Guy come from?
So we, because we had talked about doing a lot of different covers, but one of the main things that we wanted to do was, to do a something pop oriented, because some of the best covers are always a band covering something that's completely outside their realm,
right? And
so we were kind of taking a look, but just listening to the the da-na, da-na-na-na-na, it has like that nice rock vibe to it. And so we tried it very early, like before we found our guitarist, when we had our old drummer. Like, it was something that we just out of the blue were like, let's give it a try, see if it works. And we kind of, it's like works, and we jived with it. It was cool. And then it got put on the back burner for a while. But then, like, once we brought the whole band together, Thomas and I, who have kind of like done the whole, have put the whole thing together, we kind of wanted to rehash that one. And with our new drummer and new guitarist, we tried it one time, and automatically we're like, oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, like we need to cover this. Like, this is going to happen. And then, and so we wanted to, so we wanted to record it. So we took it to our producer, this guy named Liam, who's this crazy Australian that we love to death, because he's recorded basically everything for us. And yeah, he heard it. And he was like, oh yeah, like, I see where you're going with this, and the rest is history. And it's been a really fun cover. And and every time we play it at shows, gets a huge reaction, because out of nowhere you hear a Billie Eilish song from a rock band, and people kind of freak out about it. So,
well, a while back, I can't even remember the band. Somebody did a cover song of "Smooth Criminal" by Michael Jackson. This was a while ago, but it's like late 90s to early 2000s.
No. Alien Ant Farm.
And that cover was awesome. And I like their version more than the Michael Jackson version.
Oh my God. Like, and Alien Ant Farm became known for that song. Like, they had like one other like single, and nobody cared. They're like, oh no, but this cover is great.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's kind of how I felt when I heard Bad Guy on your version of it. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I could jam out to this. I'm not usually in a Billie Eilish, go to the gym and jam that, it's kind of mood, but I could jam your song really well. So it's killer. Everybody should check that out for sure, because it's legit good. So, all right. So on top of everything else, I'll if you don't know about All Due Respect, y'all should check it out on iTunes for sure. It's there. They're also on Spotify.
iTunes, iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, pick your poison.
Yeah, it's awesome. Y'all definitely check it out. But now we're going to get to what really drew me to this interview, because I found out that you were doing a short film coming out and you have a project on Indiegogo. I started checking it out and I was like, oh my gosh, and again, I love, any kind of doing indie film. I'm a passionate for it. So
of course.
I wanted to, just kind of get your ear on. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let you tell me about this project. What's going on with it? Where did it come from? Fill me in.
So this was kind of a passion project for me. It started with my buddy Brian, Brian Hamilton. I actually directed a feature-length film in 2017. Was very low budget. Here I say no budget, but it was like. It was basically me putting forth whatever money I had in my pocket.
I know exactly how that feels.
Oh yeah, I was there with you. I remember it. But it was a very low budget film, and we did it. It was like found footage style, so like your Blair Witch, Paranormal Activity, that kind of thing. And that film was about the Max Headroom incident, which, if you don't know, in it was 1987. There was a guy that hijacked Chicago television. He hijacked WGN, and during a rerun of Doctor Who, of all things, he hijacked WGN and put himself on TV for 1 minute and 30 seconds and just spewed nonsense, like just said random crap. And he had a Max Headroom mask on, which Max Headroom was like a video DJ in like Britain in the 1980s. And so anyway, and to this day, nobody knows who he is, why he did it. He's never been caught, nothing, just disappeared. And so I saw like a YouTube video of this incident. And as soon as I heard that he had never been caught and nobody knew why or how, I was like, oh, this has a movie written all over it. And so I made that film, kind of like, as I said, like the found footage style, tracking essentially like who the people were, why they did it, how it happened, and the aftermath afterwards.
Yeah.
And that project was so much fun. And I invite you to check it out. It's called Intrusion. It's on YouTube. Type in Max Headroom incident.
Oh, we'll link to it. We'll link to it here so they can just click the link.
We'll link to it. You'll find it. It's not hard to find at this point, luckily, because like, for whatever weird reason, a lot of people have decided to check it out. But so anyway, but during that, like one of the actors that I brought on in that movie was Brian, and he and I have stayed linked ever since. And he has he had this like sketch comedy group called Three Scoundrels Comedy. But they also wanted to kind of pivot into more drama, the other things outside of comedy. And I pitched him this short film and he immediately loved it. And so I then like wrote the short film at 2 a.m, as I do. And it just, once he read the script, the whole thing took off. So this is the new film that we're working on, which is called Be Wary the Wind. And it's about these two men who, after their boat capsizes, they're stranded on an island, and this strange woman just appears, and they act as though she's been there the whole time. She, just immediately ingratiates into conversation. They act as though she's been there the whole time. But then my character, Ezra, starts noticing these inconsistencies with her and starts realizing that she hasn't been there, and I don't know who this is, and can we trust her? And she starts pitting the two men against each other, and you find out that she's a siren. So the Greek mythological siren, so there's, a lot of eerie music. There's all sorts of things going on with it. And we're very excited to kind of bring this new mythological creature into modern times and kind of give it new life in everything that we're doing. So
yeah, on your description there, you kind of have influences from, you said The Witch and the Hereditary, and I can't remember the other one.
Get Out was the other one.
Get Out, yeah. And so these are all very terrifying films. Like, I am not a fan of terrifying films because I just don't do well in them. But I love the suspense. I just hate the suspense. It's kind of like a love-hate. It's like a both ways thing. I just, ugh.
But that's the brilliance.
Yeah,
you're supposed to hate it. Like,
yeah, it's so uncomfortable, and yet you have to know.
Fun. Yeah, like no one's having fun when they're scared, but afterwards they're like, okay, yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah.
But yeah, those three films are really what we're kind of, it's suspense, and we'll link to the Indiegogo campaign where we have an interview. But one thing I say in there is that there's this new wave of these horror drama films. Yeah, which is awesome because, for so long, you think of your classic horror films, you're thinking, Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like all of those films, which are the slasher. Yeah. But this new wave of films that are coming out, they're dramas. They're very well acted. They're very, the script is incredibly well written. They're very poignant, but yet they have these terrifying elements. Yeah. That create a horror film. And that, to me, is what really resonates, because you can make a great movie and also have it be scary. Yeah. Like it doesn't have to be one or the other, because I feel like so many horror movies, kind of miss the mark when it comes to, Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they weren't nominated for Oscars. Yeah. Like, because it used to be that they were very separate genres. But now, like, you look at Get Out, you look at The Witch and Hereditary, they're very much in that conversation, because they, not only are they terrifying, but they have great stories and a great script and great acting. And that's something that, I think a lot of people want, and that we really want to capture with this short film. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think there's a definite audience. I think a long time ago, it was just easy to make something scary or add a bunch of blood to it. And then for the last decade, we've had the zombies, everything. And I think they've got to be close to running out of things to do with zombies at this point. I feel like they're a little overdone. But what I've really liked about, Jordan Peele's stuff, and again, I'm not a huge horror or scary film fan, but there's a talent to making you feel unsettled with like almost normal things, and just having you just feel like something is wrong and feel like something is you're just filled with dread, and you just know something's coming. And the ability to kind of keep that string getting tighter and tighter and tighter the whole movie, that's an art into itself. And so if you can pull that off, you've done something pretty impressive. And it doesn't have to have a bunch of blood or like some scary man in a mask even. No, and that's the thing, is like, it's just, let's be honest, real life is terrifying. It's like you don't need to send some guy with a chainsaw at me. Like, real life is terrifying enough. Yeah. So let's work on that. It's like, let's dive into that, and how, and granted, the short film deals with, a mythological creature. So there's that, but also there's so many things that can be frightening and can be used in an unsettling way. And I think you said it great when it's like, it just makes you uncomfortable. Yeah. And I think that's kind of the future of horror movies is now don't get me wrong. Like, a good B-list slasher movie is always gonna, it's always gonna be fun. Yeah. But I think the future of horror movies is something that's so real, and that's why it's terrifying. And so that's kind of what we're trying to do, is not necessarily the element of the siren or whatever, but the relationship and the characters, being so close, but yet having that tension between them. That's what's most terrifying.
Yeah.
Really.
No, I like it. It's an interesting premise. I like any time that you take something that is a known thing and you kind of redo it, revamp it. I think that's an interesting idea. And the truth is, at the end of the day, except for zombies, yeah, like we need a break.
Zombies are done.
We just need a break from zombies, guys.
We got it. Zombies and vampires. Both of them can take a rest. We'll see you in 20 years. It's been great. Thank you, but we're done.
I agree. Give me something new. Give me something original.
Yep.
But also, you have two friends, and I think anytime you take two friends and you start twisting and messing it up, there's a real element to that. And I think if you can hit on that heart, that's a great thing. Plus, having come, from years now in the film business, horror films, even shorts, are always good for distribution, good for ideas, good for picking up. They have a good life expectancy and so on. And so I think you're hitting a good genre for a short film. I'm not a big advocate for short films just in general because they're so hard to distribute or make any money back from it. Unless the caveat is if you're doing like a horror scary film, those seem to work pretty well. And so, having watched your trailer and everything, I was like, yeah, I'm already unsettled. I don't even know what's happening, and I'm already like,
There's 3 lines in the whole teaser trailer, and yet I know exactly what's going on, and I'm scared. So it's perfect. Like I'm down for it.
Yeah. So what's your plan? So you're here. It's April right now. You're about to film in May. Then what's your plan after that?
Yeah. So we are. We filmed just enough to get our teaser trailer out there, because we have our Indiegogo campaign going right now, and which has been going very well. But so now our next plan, it's like we have some more rehearsals because, myself as the director and also one of the actors in it, because just backing up for a second, one thing that I love, like in my writing, is I always keep my casts very small, and I also always keep budget in mind when I'm it's like when I'm writing, I keep budget in mind.
Yeah,
I'm
smart.
like, oh, this would be awesome for a car chase. I'm like, oh wait, nope, can't afford that. So they're on foot, and and that's it's like that's the kind of thing that I do while I'm writing. But I think that it works for me in the end, because at the end of the day, like, all the scripts that I write, I want to make. Don't get me wrong. Like, somebody, Netflix comes to me and offers me $100,000 to write a script, I'm going to do it.
Absolutely.
But in the meantime, like, I write the scripts that I want to produce and make the films myself. And so, like, this film, it's 3 characters. It's very small. It takes place in one location on a beach. It's all very inclusive, and I think that really that benefits us in terms of budget, certainly, but also in terms of really developing the characters. So to your question, in terms of like what we have coming up, we have a few more rehearsals scheduled, which myself as the director and also one of the actors in it, I really, and I did this with my previous film Intrusion, but by the time I show up on set, my directing should essentially be done. It's like, I love sitting down with people and dissecting a script and really getting into it and nitpicking every little thing. But then when we show up on set, we know what we need to do.
Right.
And so in terms of getting something out of an actor, that's already done. We've already finished that part. We know what we need to do, and it should only take. One thing that in being through multiple films, one thing that drives me out of my mind is when directors want to do 20 takes of one shot.
So you're not a big Fincher fan.
Which, oh God, yeah, like the amount of takes. Listen. I get that style of directing. That is not an actor style of directing.
Yeah.
I am an actor, and I'm an actor who directs. And that being said, everything should be squared away, ready to go by the time you get on set. And so if that's the case, which, you know, we hope to do with this film, 3 takes should be all you need.
Yeah.
And that cuts down on everything, you know, on time you're on set, on, you know, and ultimately on, you know, money, on, you know, everything. It's a very great way to operate a film. So all of that being said, we plan on shooting second week of May. We're going to be shooting on at this point, because locations have proven to be the hardest part.
It's always
how
fun.
hard it is.
Yep.
It's amazing how hard it is to find a beach where you can light a campfire and be there after 9 p.m. That's all I want. These are simple things.
There's turtles, man. Can't harm the turtles.
Don't hurt the turtles. But we should. We're going to be filming on the in the Far Rockaways in Queens. So it's, you know, just south of Brooklyn. And it's a great area and we love it. And we can't wait to film there. You know, it's desolate enough that we can make believe that it's a deserted island.
Right.
But like, yeah, so we're going to start filming second week of May. And then after that, it's post-production, editing, music, all that good stuff. We hope to have the film out and premiere it by probably early to mid-September. Is kind of what we're aiming for.
And you're going to go like the film festival circuit, try to get it out there, I'm assuming.
Yep. All the film festivals. You know, we'll probably put it out 20, 30 film festivals, see what we can get from that, and then go from there. And eventually, you know, its resting place will be YouTube, whenever that is.
Yeah. Well, excellent. Well, obviously, man, you know, I hope for the best for you and the whole thing. I love the experience. I agree with you. You don't have Fincher has money, you know, so he can sit there and he can spend a whole day on that. But part of being a wise filmmaker when you don't have a lot of money is knowing how to get the job done where you don't run out of money. So
exactly.
I applaud you for that.
Surprisingly difficult.
Yeah. So I'm excited for you, man. I'm looking forward to it. I wanted to get you on the show now. Your Indiegogo is happening right now, everybody. So please go check out the page. I'll link it here below. You can find all the stuff. There's an interview video there. You can see all the different, what do you call them, rewards or stats of giving and stuff on there.
Yeah, the perks or whatever you want.
Whatever you call it.
All of the above.
Yeah, everybody's done Indiegogo. So please check that out, you know, and support indie film. I think everyone's always like, we need new movies. There's no good movies on Netflix. Well, guys, you know, go fund one,
indie
please.
Films.
Yeah, come on.
Indie films. This is how it gets done. This is how you find all the cool stuff, is like these indie films that blow up into bigger films.
Exactly.
Like, that's how it works.
Exactly. So please check that out. And then also, if you have a second, please check out iTunes. Go check out All Due Respect. Download their music. Support them on Spotify. Do what you can. I think it's great. Jesse, I want to thank you for having you on the show. And when it's done and we get a chance to see this thing, you know, you can give me a private screen or something. We'll have you back. We'll do a talk about the film and that kind of thing. That'd be fun.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. All right, guys, this has been the Chason Laing podcast. You're going to find all the links that we just discussed in the show notes below. So please click them, check the Indiegogo out, check all the Spotify links, everything. We'll put it all down there, Jesse. And if you have a question for me or for Jesse, or want to know how you can get involved or anything like that, please leave a comment below and one of us will get back with you for sure. And then do us a favor, if you can just subscribe and then share this video with your friends. It helps both support, you know, the show here, and also it, you know, gets the word out about this film that we got to get out there. So that's all for this episode, folks. Go get after it.